One of the state's largest government agencies making changes, and what could soon be a record wave of workforce allegations made after a KXAN investigation.
No employee should ever feel dread when they think about going into work.
Earlier this year, we first revealed around 200 allegations over the past 5 years, coming from employees about harassment, discrimination, and retaliation inside the Texas Department of Transportation.
Cases going on. In fact, the more I complained, the more I felt retaliated against.
With more than 11,000 employees statewide, we've discovered a bulk of those complaints are coming from women, which make up just 22% of TxDOT's workforce, not on par with the state's greater workforce, of which women make up nearly half.
TxDOT tells us it's making strides, hiring more women and minorities and also putting them in leadership positions. But we've continued to check in on that progress.
And we're discovering even more worker complaints coming in since our first report, and some women unsatisfied with the progress, leaving the agency altogether. Not long after Ramona Cruz started working in TxDOT's Support Services Division last year, she says a male superior began to sexually harass her, giving suggestive looks and saying inappropriate things about women.
This is a culture that is accepted there. They know it, they continue to do it, and there's nothing that you're going to do basically to stop them. I'm ex-military, I'm a veteran. I've been around a lot of men. I was on a ship, the population was like 100 women to thousands of men, and they never treated me like that.
Those who have come forward with complaints are...
When Cruz saw our investigation, she realized she wasn't alone.
I had no idea that this was actually going on and this happened to other people. I think what happened is the newscast brought it to light again.
Within weeks, TxDOT's executive director appeared in a video sent to all employees.
I sent an email to all employees about recent news reports that questioned some of our employment practices. But as difficult as those reports were to hear, I look at them as an opportunity to help our workforce better reflect the people we serve. Harassment, retaliation, and discrimination have no place here. And if we determine that anyone employed here is guilty of those things, they will also no longer have a place here.
Cruz says following our report, these flyers went up in employee areas at her job site. They urge workers who've endured or witnessed any violence, harassment, intimidation, or other threatening behavior to report it. And these emails Cruz sent to the Equal Employment Opportunity Office show that's just what she did, multiple times. Still, she says it went nowhere, so she quit.
I felt it was that important to make a statement. I'm standing up for me, and I'm standing up for other women that are putting up with this sort of behavior.
In the few short weeks since our investigation, TxDOT workers' official allegations of harassment, sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation for this fiscal year alone nearly doubled from 29 to 52 statewide. That total's on track to break the record number of allegations reported in a single year in recent history across the agency.
Recent complaints include a woman's in Denton who says a male coworker showed her a pornographic movie, and a crew chief in Nolan County groping a female colleague. Agency records show recently in a few cases, complaints resulted in more training or reminders about professional standards. In other cases, suspects received a written reprimand, probation, transfer, or termination. But with the majority of complaints, TxDOT investigated but took no disciplinary action.
No action was taken in my event. Unfortunately, they don't practice what they preach. You shouldn't treat women like that. But again, I clearly wasn't important.
The same day we started asking TxDOT about the case, the agency's compliance division reached out to Cruz to say it was investigating her reported issues and would like her help in the process.
We are victims. We should be protected, not the people who do this to other employees.
TxDOT would not comment on Cruz's case. Remember, this all follows a legislative audit prompting TxDOT to improve its complaint process and add a division within Human Resources to specifically address such problems during employee orientation, with updated policies, procedures, and the process for filing complaints. In an email this week, the agency tells us we track all allegations and take each one seriously. If we're seeing an increase in people coming forward, We view that as a positive sign. TxDOT says an investigation happens with any allegation, and if it is substantiated, action is taken.
Yes, but we know last year fewer than 40% of those allegations were actually substantiated.
That's right, Josh. And the issue, though, goes well beyond complaints and allegations. Many women tell us it starts with hiring. Now, we already mentioned how women make up just 22% of the agency's workforce.
A lot of people ask us, aren't a lot of these jobs just dominated by men, especially out in the field?
Well, yes, but that's not always the case. Just look at the greater civilian workforce, where women and men are pretty equal in many of those jobs you're talking about.
We have a whole breakdown of how TxDOT doesn't always stack up in those areas online, so check it out. We're also staying in touch with members of the Texas House Transportation Committee who took interest in our investigation. Now, this is the panel tasked with oversight of this agency, its practices, and decisions that could affect its budget in the upcoming legislative session.
It seems to me there's not a lot of concern about a person or the issue once the person has made a complaint. And perhaps this is quite discouraging.
Are these allegations and complaints something that you will be addressing in future hearings?
There need to be vast improvements in this area and benchmarks put in place, and not just put in place, but actually used in order to stamp out and to eliminate these kinds of problems.
Should Executive Director Bass answer for this?
I think so. He's head of it. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And if the Executive Director cannot be able to fulfill these obligations, then he should step down and let someone else take that position who will.
We will continue to follow up ahead of the session. Remember, this is not just a story about men and women. We're also tracking the agency's progress when it comes to racial minorities, other areas where we found hiring and complaint issues. Again, check out our extended analysis in this story in the investigative section of KXAN.com right now.